Hello, good evening and welcome. It's Wednesday evening, which means that it's time for the 13 Pro-Am Community Rugby League show. And I tell you what, I can officially say it's grand final time.
It certainly is, mate. It's been a busy week as well, hasn't it? Even though there's not been a lot of games.
Yeah, there's been a lot of things going on, hasn't there? A lot of things decided, both in the Yorkshire Men's and the North West Men's League. We've got the Cumbria season that's starting to get to a head, and of course, we had the final promotion spot decided from Division 2 of the National Conference. Who was going to go up into Division 1? Was it going to be Woolston Rovers? Was it going to be the Shawcross Sharks? And I went over, so I've got a bit of a report on that game, and we've got an interview with the winning coach. So we'll bring you up to speed with that one. We've also got a report from West Hull against Rochdale Mayfield. And Steve, you ventured over to the North West Men's League finals, didn't you?
Yeah, there were 3 finals on the Saturday, which I managed to get to. And the first one up there was between Runcorn Highfield and Bank Quay Bulls. I managed to get a chat with the head coach of Bank Quay Bulls, which we'll bring to you. And after that, it was the Burtonwood Bridge, who we featured quite a bit on the show. They were up against Ashton Bears A, Ashton Bears A. And then in the big one, it was Orrell St James. They were up against Ashton Bears' first team. So Ashton Bears managed to get both teams to the finals, and it was an interesting day. And of course, the weather wasn't as beautiful as it has been on some of the occasions we've been out this year. So I can let you know how things went on from a weather point of view, because I'm sure it affected your game as well.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, I was going to ask and put it out to the people that listen to this podcast. If you were stood at the side of a rugby pitch over this weekend, how wet did you get?
Yeah.
Not a case of how was it for you, a case of how wet did you get? Because I have to admit, come the final whistle in the game I was at, I was soaked through to the skin. Yeah. I was soaked to the bone.
Yeah. How wet was your vest? That's what we want to know. Because it was. It's certainly the heavens opened on a biblical proportion at one stage in Shrewsbury, which was a place that I haven't been before. So I must admit, a nice little place. I did like it.
Yeah, it's a good setup. Yeah, it's a good setup. It's in Shrewsbury. It's a good club as well. You know, really honest people that have done particularly well since that club came together with St Williams. So that's an amalgamation. You know, similar to what happened with Thatto Heath.
Yep.
So that's what also happened as well with those two close run Wigan clubs. Anyway, where shall we start? I'm going to go up to Cumbria. We love being able to bring you this information which Lorraine de Graaf's been sending us all the way through the season, and this week is no different. So it has got round to the top 4 playoffs in the Holmen Iggesund Cumberland League, semi-final time. So basically the setup is first place 4th, second place 3rd, winners through to the grand final. So that grand final is taking place on this coming Saturday. It's going to be taking place at Hensingham, by the way. So if you are in the vicinity, I do encourage you to get across. Who's made it? Well, Dissington, they've been favoured all the way through the season. They defeated Lauca by 44 points to 4. It was 16 points to 4 at half time. Dissington, of course, we've talked about them a lot over recent weeks, haven't we? They're going to be elevated into the National Conference League Division 3 next season. But it's all about how they finish in the Cumbria League, and they had tries from Jamie Friel, Stephen Clark, Gavin Martin, Lewis Whitehead grabbing 2, Tyrone Dalton, James Mottham, who we commentated on the other week playing for the Great Britain Police.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And Jack Penrice all grabbing tries for Dissington. 6 goals coming from the boot of Stephen Clark. The man of the match was that man Mottham. Tremendous player, that lad, isn't he? He just keeps on going. He's like the proverbial. I was going to say a sort of type of batteries. A Duracell bunny.
Duracell bunny. That's
he is.
It, yeah.
He's the proverbial Duracell bunny, isn't he, James Mottham? Fantastic player. For Lauca, it's that man Mitchell Todd. We mentioned him every single week. He can't stop scoring, that kid, can he? Grabbed about his 50th try of the season. I'm probably over-exaggerating there, but it just seems every time we've read one of Lorraine's reports, it's included him as a scorer, hasn't it, when we've been talking about Lauca. And unsurprisingly, he picked up the man of the match as well. But ultimately, it was Dissington who marched on to the grand final, defeating Lauca by 44 points to 4. Now, the second game was an altogether closer affair. So this featured Wharfbrow Hornets A side up against Kells A side. Half time in this one, 10 points to 6 in favour of Wharfbrow. Eventually, full time arrived, 16 points to 6. So Wharfbrow scored tries through Luke Spivey, Clark Riley and Daly Stables. 2 goals came. One from the boot of Jensen Alstrom, the other from the boot of Jamie McAllister. And for Kells, it was a try from Bailey Morton, converted by Aaron Burns. And a couple of good guys getting the Player of the Match award. So from a Wharfbrow A point of view, James Dixon getting the nod. And from a Kells A point of view, Will Ennis, who once upon a time was an England Community Lion under 19s and under 20s player. So great to hear that Will is still getting his name around and, you know, being one of the key players there. And I've got a little bit of a match report from this one. So right from the very first whistle, it was clear that this was going to be a close game and any mistake would prove costly. After a tight first half, the Brow held on to a slender lead until a Kells sin-binning on 72 minutes. A couple of sets later, Wharfbrow's Jamie McAllister picked the ball up on his own 10-metre line and danced through the Kells line, making nearly 60 metres before being tackled. This gave the Brow field position and allowed Daly Stables to scoot over from short range, and that gave Wharfbrow a 10-point advantage with only 5 minutes of the game remaining. So final score in that one, 16 points to 6 in favour of Wharfbrow A. So like I said, that sets up an intriguing Holmen Iggesund Cumberland League top 4 final between Dissington and Wharfbrow Hornets A. As I mentioned, being played at Hensingham this coming weekend. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the result of that one's going to be, to be honest, because when I was looking at the results, and Dissington were sort of putting together the documentation for getting in the NCL. Obviously, they were saying about how well they'd done over the course of the season, and at that stage, they'd only lost one game, and that one game was against Wharfbrow Hornets A. So I think there's loads to play for in this one, to be fair, and it'll be an interesting old tie, that one. What says you, Steve? Yeah,
it certainly will. I mean, that's the case, isn't it? I mean, I found out that similar sort of thing this weekend were 2 teams who come up against each other who one's run away with it basically, but they're only sort of flying the ointment, as it were, is the team they're up against to play against. So you always know there could be a twist to the tail or a sting to the tail.
It's what you always want, isn't it, to be fair? I see what you did there, Wharfbrow Hornets, a sting in the tail. Like see, you're getting better at this sort of stuff.
Till Friday.
Saturday you're at a game.
I certainly am.
Right, that's all to come. So again, we have to thank Lorraine for all the work that she's done and, you know, getting these names in front of us, and I'm finding it really interesting now because I'm starting to build a bit of a picture which we've never had before about those games in Cumbria. We used to mention the scores, but there was no context, and this is what we love, and thank you so much, Lorraine, for everything that you do for the league and for ourselves. We hope that it can continue next season, and I tell you what, I'm looking forward to reading about the final next week.
That should be a good one. Should be.
Right, let's move on, shall we? Northwest Men's League, Steve.
Northwest Men's League. Well, we've got 2 reports, and we've got obviously a little interview that was done, and I was down, as we were saying before, at Inchrose's Bridge for the Northwest Men's Finals. 3 finals on the Saturday. Couldn't make it to the Sunday one, unfortunately, due to further commitments, but we'll bring the results about that. But where do we start? Well, we'll start off with the first one, which was the Runcorn Highfield against Bank Quay Bulls, and it was 2 teams who had only been separated by 1 point, fought out the Northwest Men's League Division 4 playoff final. The first half saw a tense tight affair with Runcorn missing the chance to break the deadlock on the 32nd minute after Bank Quay were penalised for not being square at the play of the ball. However, just 3 minutes later, Bank Quay went in on the right-hand corner from a move which saw them very nearly knock on, but the referee adjudged it went off the knees of the Bulls full-back Myers, who then fed Ash Hickman to go over. Myers was on hand to add the extras, and that took the Bulls into an half-time lead of 6-0. Yeah, it was that tight of a first half, and they were very, very well-matched side. After half-time, it was only the second set which saw Bank Quay make healthy meters from their own line up to the halfway mark. Allowing Myers to put in a left-footed bomb, and unfortunately, Runcorn's Hick spilt the ball. From the subsequent scrum, Myers moved the ball to the right through hands, which saw Kyle Hickman go to the right-hand corner to take the lead to 10 points to 0. Two Hickmans there. I'm convinced they must be brothers. So I didn't actually check 100%, but I'd be very, very surprised if they weren't. Sides then traded sets, but in the 47th minute mark, Runcorn were found guilty of a ball steal with 2 men in the tackle. Myers accepted the chance and duly collected the 2 points to move Bank Quay into a 2-score lead of 12 points to 0. Runcorn needed to be next on the score sheet, and if the game was not to drift away, and that is exactly what they did in the 51st minute when Bank Quay were pinged for offside at the scrum. On the fourth play, Runcorn moved the ball from right to left, and Centre Holland was on hand to score, with halfback Robinson adding the extra 2, and Runcorn were back in the game at 12 points to 6. Runcorn then soaked up some sustained pressure over the next few sets, and on the 61st minute they once again linked up from right to left winger Rice, who was stopped by a last-ditch tackle into touch by Bulls hooker Alcock. And it was Alcock who, on 69 minutes, produced the moment of the game, taking the ball from dummy half to scoot 60 yards past 6 players to go in to the right of the ports, giving Myers his easiest conversion of the afternoon and taking Bank Quay into an 18 points to 6 lead. From the kick-off, though, Bank Quay had the ball stolen one-on-one, and a couple of tackles later, standoff Patterson crossed to reduce the deficit to 18 points to 10. But with 5 minutes left on the clock, Bank Quay standoff Roberts sealed the game with a 1-pointer to take the spoils for Bank Quay. Man of the match was adjudged to be Glyn Roberts, number 6 for Bank Quay, and his halfback partner for me, Billy Myers, was the key player. He was in all the big plays for Bulls, and his kicking game was absolutely excellent. But I've got to say, we was talking about Alcott, the number 9, his run for dummy half. If you manage to get onto YouTube, all these games have been recorded, and they're on the. It was playing some really good rugby, making some good meters from dummy half. You could see it, there was a word of him, and he just got in behind, saw that there was sort of a bit lacking in defence, and off he went, and he just went past defenders left, right, and centre, and went in at the right of the port. It was absolutely superb try,
a magic moment.
It was very much, and these two teams, as I said, were only separated by 1 point. Runcorn Highfield were swept to the board basically in the division as such, and the 2 games they had between them, one was a draw, and the other one was won by a drop goal by Runcorn Highfield. Anyway, I caught up with the coach of Bank Quay Bulls afterwards, and this is what he had to say. I'm here today at the North West Men's League Finals Day. Just witnessed the Division 4 playoff final, and with me is a successful coach, Daniel Ewed. So, how do you think your team went on today, mate?
I thought we did really well. We've not played for about 8 or 9 weeks, and up until the semi-final last week, when we had a very young team out with a lot missing who weren't here today. But I thought the lads turned up today against a team who they beat us in the last 2 games, and to come away with win, I think is an incredible achievement.
Yeah, and so before, each time you've played these, I think that in both matches there's only actually been 1 point and the other was a draw, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, that's right. They beat us by a drop goal at our place at the start of the season, and then we drew at their end, so there was literally 1 point difference between us before today. So every game's been a good game with them. It's been a battle with them in Division 4, to be fair. They're a good side, we're a good side. I think we'll both be looking at getting obviously promoted after this.
Yeah, the other thing is, certainly today, your forwards laid a great platform for your half-backs, because they both had a really, really good game. And I know your number 6 was voted man of the match, but your forwards, impressive.
Yeah, definitely. And for being I'd say definitely the smaller side, and I'd say we're a lot younger in the pack. They did really well. Like I was just telling them to go low a lot on their lads, because they've obviously got quite a lot of big units, and the work rate off them all, I can't knock them for having weeks off and weeks off. The energy they shown and the art to get. I think it was more art at the end got us across the line.
Yeah, I know Bank Quay, certainly Holmen Age side, has been missing for a little while, so for them to come back like this is a great fillip, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been. You know what? It's been brilliant, mate. Because we only started Ste at in about I think we set up we had one session before Christmas, and then we set up at the end of January. So we're a brand new team, but it's lads who used to play for the club who've come back from other clubs in the town, because we've not had an open age. And I'd had 2 or 3 of the other coaches mithering me, saying they wanted to have a go at open age, but I didn't think we had the lads at first. But we did 2 or 3 sessions, and we've ended up with like 32 lads registered now. So it shows the club's still got a big place in Warrington's heart, basically. So I'm absolutely made up for them. They've been outstanding this season. To win the cup and then to win this against a very, very good Runcorn team, I'm over the moon.
Thanks very much, Dan, and congratulations.
Thanks a lot, Steve.
There you go. So that's our first game. That was Bank Quay Bulls.
Got to say, Steve, before we move on to the others, what a year it's been for Bank Quay Bulls, because they fought their way through to one of the finals that I think I covered in mid-season.
That's right, yeah.
Over at Blackbrook. They were brilliant. They had a centre that day who could catch pigeons, and the fact that they have done so well since coming back as an open age team is brilliant. Yeah,
as the coach was saying there, they only actually started in January. Back in January.
Absolutely phenomenal effort from them, isn't it? So well done to Bank Quay Bulls.
Yeah, and again, as he was saying, he was a bit sort of like dubious whether they should start, whether they had the enough experience to a certain degree. There's a lot of youngsters and not a lot of people that like wanted to start at the open age. I saw them beat Newton in the semi-final of the cup, and it was a very well played game. They played well, but they managed the game well.
Yeah,
and this was the same with this. But Myers at number 7 for me stood out head and shoulders.
Do you feel he's one of those guys that could play at a different level if he wanted to?
Definitely. From what I can gather, speaking to some of the spectators in and around, he's been on Wiggins' books. As a junior, and you can tell he always looked though he had plenty of time, and he wasn't flustered by things. He really organised. And as I say, left-footers, whether left-footers or left-handers in any sport, always look more classier. And his kicking game was good. His kicking for touch, his kicking, his goal kicking was good as well. So there you go. That's Runcorn Highfield 19 and Bank Quay Bulls 10. And then our next game, that took us up to just round the corner to a team that I've been watching quite a bit of late, of course. That is Burtonwood Bridge, and they were up against Ashton Bears A. As I say, Ashton Bears got 2 teams in the finals, so they had some good support on the touchline for this one, as did Burtonwood Bridge. But a cheeky short kick-off and regathered by Burtonwood's standoff Fairclough saw them get the first crack at the Ashton defence, but they held firm and started to apply pressure of their own on the Burtonwood side. An interception by Ashton's scrum half took them to within 5 metres of the bridge line, but they managed to hold out, and 5 minutes later it would be Ashton who would break the deadlock with the move which sent in right centre Jordan Turner to take Ashton into a 4-0 lead.
Hang on, Jordan Turner?
Jordan Turner.
Not that one?
Not that Jordan Turner,
okay.
No. I did a double take, but it was pretty good, I must admit. Take Ashton into a 4-0 lead, which they would hold until the 30-minute mark, when Fairclough then squirmed his way over to equalise, and Blackburn Wood added the extras. It was a lead that was short-lived after Burtonwood were penalised for offside, and Ashton slotted over the penalty to square things up at 6-all. and after trading set for set, that is how it went until half-time. It was just 3 minutes before Burtonwood got their noses in front again after the break, with early pressure on the Ashton line reaping benefits when fullback Young forced his way over, with Blackburn Wood again tagging on the 2. He then pushed Bridge further ahead with the penalty on 52 minutes after a high shot on Nisbet, which stretched the lead to 14 points to 6. It wasn't long after that Ashton went down to 12 men after a sin bin for dissent, but this was levelled when Innes was sin bin for Burton Woods a few minutes later for a high shot. After some concerted defence, Burton Wood were forced to drop out, and Fairclough's kick wrong-footed the Ashton defence and went out, giving Bridge the possession and welcome relief. On the 70-minute mark, Burton Wood gained head and feeder to scrum, and Sevilla fed winger Young, who brought past 2 would-be tacklers to go over. The conversion was missed, but it looked like Burton Wood had sewn things up, and this was confirmed when Blackburn Wood went over on the 79th minute to take the final score to Burtonwood Bridge 22, Ashton Bears A 6. Gotta say, again, going back to half-backs, Fairclough, again, another one who I know, if I'm not wrong, may have been on Saints' books in the past.
Played for Swinton as well. Once upon a time.
Again, it stood out head and shoulders, and took a lot of stick from the Ashton crowd because he was one of these who carried himself with confidence, played well, wasn't frightened of taking a ball up and getting a crack or two, as they say. But yeah, good game all round, must be said. Congratulations there to Burton Wood. I was trying to find Matty Wilson, who is usually a friend of the show, obviously a coach of Burton Wood, only to find out Matty was actually coaching the team by phone from Mexico.
Was he?
He was on holiday in Mexico, something obviously that's been booked a while.
Did they have to do it? Would have been on delayed reaction, wouldn't it? Because it was being beamed, over there.
He was watching it on YouTube, live on YouTube, and on the phone to the lads on the touchline, helping them to obviously try and sort things out. So you can't argue with that, can you? All the way from Mexico to Inchroads Bridge.
That's some commitment.
Obviously,
imagine doing that with a tequila or two.
The factor there which links the both, the weather was the same in both places. It was absolutely bucketing it down. I think Matty got the best deal there by far. So, got to say congratulations there to Burton Wood, a great win. Tough on Ashton Bears. Got to look at a good defensive display as well from Burton Wood, because keeping Ashton down to that score. And it was one of those afternoons as the rain started coming down, you thought, slippy ball, is there going to be errors, is it going to be a level, or all those types of things. But both teams, again, did what they needed to do. And in the final game, it was Orrell St James up against Ashton Bears.
Now, this one looks like it was defences on top.
Well, you would be wrong, actually, to a certain degree.
Really?
You'd be wrong and right in some degree. The final score was Orrell St James 16, Ashton Bears 2. Was it 2?
Yeah, that's the score I've got. Yeah.
And it was one of those games where they started out, the rain had started to come down really, really heavy. So you thought, hang on, this is going to be one-up rugby, drive it in. No. It didn't make any difference. Both sides played really open, hard rugby.
And how did the pitch stand up? Because I was just thinking, by this stage, you're talking 2 really tough games, 2 physical games, commitment galore. Was it turning into a bit of a quagmire, or did it hold up?
It held up really, really well. I was surprised, and I was interested to see how it was Luke the day after, which I'll mention when we give the results of it, obviously the Sunday game. But no, it held really, really well. From Orrell St James' point of view, they were absolutely immense. Yes, the defence was absolutely unique. There's no way from the box there. But as I said, credit to both sides. They both played open, attractive rugby. The ball got spilled a couple of times because of that, but there was no sort of change in tactics. And Ashton Bears really, really give it to Orrell, but Orrell, stood fast. got to say though, the number 10 for Orrell St James, Kai
Siani, was it?
That's right. Oh, absolutely wonderful. Got to be said. Again, we talk about people who look head and shoulders over everybody else.
Well, he's tall.
Literally,
he's about 6'4", I think.
Yeah, yeah. But he drove in. His tackling was absolutely superb, and it wasn't surprising that he won the Man of the Match award. He was really, really good.
He's a belting player. I know that he played really well for the England Community Lions last season.
Yeah, it was one of those where he stood out. As I say, you can pick people out, who stand out straight away. And sometimes you look at them and you think, is it just because he's big? I'm taking, so your eye goes straight toward him. But it didn't make any difference because he was in everything. It wasn't just attack. He got a tidy pair of hands on him as well. But his defence was absolutely immense. And in that weather, as well, as I say, you could have easily slipped off tackles, etc. But no, it was absolutely superb.
See, I'm already looking at it and thinking, you've seen two of the ones that got away from St Helens over the course of this weekend, then haven't you? Rob Fairclough for Burtonwood, and then Kai Siani was once upon a time in the academy team at St Helens. They've let good players go there, haven't they?
He could do a tidy job for somebody. There's no ifs and buts about that. And it was a good win, great win there for Sean McHugh and the team. Yes, Sean never actually had his flip-flops on. He had trainers on, but he still had his shorts on in that bucketing wear.
I would expect nothing less of him, to be fair. No. I mean, there's just something special, isn't there, about when it comes to North West Men's League finals and the way that, in particular, Orrell St James seem to come together. So, admittedly, they haven't played, the best rugby ever this season, I don't think.
That's right, yeah.
But they've again found a way to win the competition, which is phenomenal.
If I'm not wrong, that may be three years on the trot they've actually won it, because I think they won it last year.
They definitely won it last year, because we was there, weren't we? Over.
I think it's 3 years on the trot that they've won it now.
Phenomenal.
So the scores there were the Premier Division playoff final, Orrell St James 16, Ashton Bears 2. Division 2 playoff final, Burtonwood 22, Ashton Bears A 8. Division 4 playoff final, Bank Quay Bulls 19, Runcorn Highfield 10. And then we went over till Sunday, and the Division 1 playoff final should have been between Dalton and Fawley Lane, but unfortunately Dalton, as we said last week, with it being a Sunday, found it difficult to get a team together. So therefore Fawley Lane got the walkover at 24-0. And in the other game, it was Waterhead Warriors A who were up against Garswood Stags, and it was Waterhead Warriors 30, Garswood Stags 20. Not got the scorers on this, unfortunately, but what I've got to say, going back to the pitch, I watched part of this game, and the pitch looks really, really good. I mean, again, considering how much water that they had put down. So, you've been to other grounds up and down where a little bit of rain, and it was a absolute quagmire, but no, it wasn't in bad nick at all.
So finally, clubs could go and have their Mad Mondays or Mad Sundays or whatever it is in the community game. So fantastic results there for the winners. Commiserations for the guys that ended up as runners-up. But I'm sure it'll make them even hungrier again for success next year. Over to the Yorkshire men's finals, and again these were split over 2 days and played over at the Horsfall Stadium in Bradford, home of the West Bowling side, to me and you, to be honest, Steve. And on Saturday in the Division 1 playoff final, Stanley Rangers, they've had a great season by the way, defeated Keighley Albion by 32 points to 6. Then there was the Division 3 playoff final on Saturday. This sounded like a real thriller, to be honest. Seacroft Sharks 22, Castleford Panthers 14. And then on the Sunday, we had a titanic battle in the Premier Division playoff final. Now, League Express, I'm sorry, Phil, I've got to mention this to you. League Express has this game at 18-all. I'm like thinking, how can you have a final that finished 18-all? I'm guessing maybe it had something to do with the fact that it was on a Sunday and, deadlines, etc., etc. The actual final score was Newson Panthers 20, Fryston Warriors 18. Again, an absolute superb result there for Newson Panthers, and just summing up kind of like the season that they have had. If you look at the league table, both of those teams have been head and shoulders above the rest of the teams in the division. Fryston actually winning one game more in the league than Newsham, but actually getting the job done in the playoffs were Newsham Panthers. So fantastic season for them. Sees them at lift silverware, and then in the Division 2 playoff final. Really happy about this result, to be honest, because obviously Bradford Dudley Hill were a National Conference League club for many years. They've had 2 stints in the National Conference League, and the latest stint within that competition came to an end at the end of last season. Were, to be fair, that club have found themselves upon really, really hard times with not a lot of youth players coming through. They've had to do a complete root and branch rebuild, in my opinion, there. They've stepped into the Yorkshire Men's League, they've fought their way through to the Division 2 playoff final, and they've won against local rivals Wibsey Warriors by 42 points to 10. So well done, Bradford Dudley Hill. I hope this is the start of you coming back and the start of you being able to field regular strong teams, and that you are getting yourselves organised, because without doubt, if you talked about National Conference League a few years ago, you would have been saying, Bradford Dudley Hill. They were once upon a time one of the
names.
One of the really well-known names in the National Conference, who represented the competition so well. So it was sad when, to hear about them falling upon hard times and having to almost take a step backwards to rebuild. But it sounds like in the first year it's gone off to great aplomb, hasn't it? Them winning by 42 points to 10. So well done to them. And again, well done to all the winners in the Yorkshire Men's League finals, and commiserations to the runners-up.
Just one outstanding one there was the whole division, Parker.
Okay.
Because I know in the local paper it's got no result in it. It was Mighton Warriors up against East Hull. And it was Mighton Warriors 14, East Hull 32.
Oh, good result that for East Hull. Again, another club that over recent times has had to step back. I remember them being at the top end of the National Conference League if you go back 10, 12 years. They were a phenomenal team at one point. So again, some great stuff going on there. Right, we have a game coming up in the Barrow Amateur Rugby League. The Barton Townley final takes place at Craven Park this coming Friday. Dalton against Ulverston. So again, I implore you, if you can get to that one, you'll see a cracking evening's worth of action. Let's talk National Conference League, shall we? And, I want to start with the game that I was at. Not only because it's probably the wettest that I've been all season, but because it turned into a right Titanic battle. And Woolston Rovers, they won promotion from Division 2 following a dramatic final at Shawcross Sharks. A game played in incessant rain, was tight and tense throughout, and came down to 2 kicks in the last 60 seconds. Early on, both sides battled for supremacy, and Shawcross were winning territorial advantage. Second row Jack Toulson was hauled down close to the line for the hosts after 9 minutes. Winger Alex Pendlebury then lost the ball at the other end for Woolston after solid runs from Scott Whiteley and James Tarpey. Shawcross again advanced with some fantastic metres from Tennyson Neagle at prop, and the hosts eventually took the lead after 27 minutes when Toulson managed to hold off several defenders to reach out and score. Dick Tomlinson, a positive influence throughout for Shawcross, couldn't goal, and it was 4 points to 0. Woolston flickered into life after 33 minutes and looked likely to score before Dan Fernley lost the ball, and Callum Barker swept up for the hosts and ran 40 metres before linking with Tom Ripley, who was hauled down by the chasers. As the half came to a close, Woolston threatened once more, and they had a penalty after scrum half Deck Leonard was obstructed chasing his own kick. A couple of big charges had Shawcross backpedalling, and Adam Files spotted his chance to plunder a try from dummy half, allowing Craig Lawton to convert and give the visitors a 4 points to 6 advantage at half time. Shawcross then made a brilliant start to the second half when Tom Ashen cut through and Nathan Wright supported for a Tomlinson improved score after 43 minutes. Now trailing by 4 points, Woolston amassed pressure with Pendlebury trapping Barker behind his own line before the ball sailed out on the full from the resulting dropout. Dan Fernley was superb in the second half for Woolston, and he was held up over the line before Harry Files was forced to turn over possession on the last tackle. Files was then sin-binned after his challenge on right was deemed reckless by referee Sam Jenkinson. 3 minutes later, the hosts were awarded a double penalty and Tomlinson goaled to increase the Sharks' lead to 12 points to 6. A high tackle on James Tarpey created some position for Woolston, and they almost broke the deadlock with Cam Davis spilling over the goal line. Ashton and Ben Ripley threatened just after the hour for the hosts, but Woolston battled with their pack outstanding as a unit. It was close in the rain. Woolston then gained some traction and the visitors scored when Fernley wouldn't be stopped close to the line. Lawton levelled with the conversion and it was 12-12 with 9 minutes to play. Leonard saw a drop goal attempt blocked, and as Woolston attacked, Keon Lister was penalised and Lawton nudged the resulting kick over from 30 metres to hand a 2-point lead to Woolston. There was questions of the referee at this stage, and he said there's 40 seconds left, so there's enough time to get back to the halfway line. And with those seconds remaining, Shawcross then regained possession following a short kick from the restart and won a penalty out on the left. Tomlinson pointed to the post from 40 metres out, knowing success would bring extra time. However, despite having the distance, the kick flashed wide and Woolston celebrated promotion. Absolutely superb game this, to be honest, in the rain.
It sounded it, mate. It sounded it.
It was titanic. And I've got to say, in the first half, Shawcross dominated and were really unlucky to be behind at half time. They had far more possession. They looked the tidier side. They played the nicer rugby, even given the conditions. So again, similar to the game that you described, both sides wanted to try and play a little bit of rugby, and we know, having seen Shawcross, they're a side that likes to attack. I don't think I've seen them at their best, it would be fair to say, this season, but I can tell from the way that Paul March sets them up that they're an attractive side to watch, and they do get an awful lot. Tennyson Neagle through the middle is one of the best forwards at that level, and he was absolutely superb in the first half. Woolston had very few opportunities, very little field position to play from. And you heard in that report that I've read out, they had 2 chances really in the last 10 minutes of the half and took one right near the half time.
That's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah, so they went in front 6 points to 4. Second half, again, Shawcross looked the better side up until the point, strangely enough, where Harry Files got himself sin-binned. And at that point, Woolston just pulled together as a unit and just toughed it out. They really did tough it out, and then finally got themselves a bit of field position, scored a cracking try through Fernley, who, he's one of their own sons, isn't he, Dan Fernley? He's been down there, man and boy.
Well, I've mentioned him a few
You've mentioned
times.
him to me.
Stood out to me,
A phenomenal second rower. And the try that he scored, he must have held off about 4 players. And I don't know how he wasn't stopped. But he just kept on going, which was real, mark of his own tenacity, to be honest, to get over the line to ground. Absolutely fantastic. And it's cruel when it comes down to like the last couple of kicks of a game, that, because it deserved to be decided in a different way. But obviously you can only get one winner going up in the division. And I suppose when you hear about how Woolston didn't go up last year, that it was I think it was Clotface who beat them in the same stage last season. I think you've got to pat them on the back at being able to rise up and get the result. So after the match, I was able to speak to a very, very happy Billy Sheen, and this is what he had to say. Well, Billy Sheen, what a game. Jesus what a Christ. Way to win promotion.
I know, mate, honestly. We did it tough, to be fair. I thought it was swung in their way. I mean, to come away to Shawcross, they had a couple of hundred on the sideline, the music playing, banging the drum, and they was beating us by 4. We had 2 in front, then they took us to 12-6, and honestly, I thought the game was done at one point, and fair to my lads, we went down to 12, we stuck in it, and we deserve that win. We was here last year, and we was hard done to last year, to be honest. Yeah, no, it was tough. They were brilliant side, Shawcross, and they finished above us, and they deserve to go up themselves, and hopefully next year I'm sure they'll do the job. It's the first year in League 2 this year for I don't know how long, but they've only just come up, and to get to grand final, credit to them. I thought it was a pretty tough game. I thought a couple of decisions went against us, but they'll probably think the same, and that's fair enough. It did swing both ways at times, but I feel like we probably got the crucial one at the end. but we did go down to 12 and we dug in, and we deserved that win.
And I've got to say as well, I mean, like in that first half, there was a lot of stuff going against you, wasn't there?
Yeah, a lot went against us in the first half, but fair to our lads, they kept our heads, and if you spoke to Shellcross, they'll probably say the same, and it's just one of the things. It's rugby league. You get some, you lose some, you win some, and first half we thought we was half done to. They probably think they're half done to the end, so that's just rugby league, I suppose.
Your pack really dug in second half, didn't it?
Yeah, well, when we went down to 12, I thought that was it. They've got some fast players of Shawcross, and they're lively with the ball. A very good number 10 today, and a very good 13, and they play some lovely stuff. And our middles, to be fair, dealt with them well today. We've struggled with them this season twice. But we dug in today and we managed to get the W.
And I've got to say as well, third play to 12, he had an outstanding second half. He came up with the try right at the end to draw it.
Yeah, he did. He's the heart and soul of this club, Furno. He puts the post pads out, he puts the flags out, he does the pitch, he does everything for this club, and people like him are white, they deserve it. He's been here for a long time, he has, and he deserves this promotion. That's what we do it for, the lads like him.
You were saying it was, over the last few years it's been close but no cigar for the club. Now you go up there.
Yeah, we get up there now and we test ourselves, and we're no pushover, but we also know that the league's tough. Obviously our friendly neighbours Crosleys have gone up this year, and they've had a bit of a struggle, and they was a far superior team to us last year, I'd like to say. They did lose a few players in that, but we just have to recruit and see where it's at. It's just, as I say, it's just rugby league, and you know where the game's at the minute for recruitment. It's not flooding. This, to be fair, credit to this club, they've got the flourishing with numbers, and they've got a brilliant setup, and everything they do is fantastic. And we probably need to take a leaf out of their book, especially if we're going to Division 1.
These close finishes, though, they're not good for your health, are they?
They're not good for my heart. No, definitely not. Jesus Christ, not good for anyone's heart. But listen, we was here last year when we played Clockface in the final, and we got done at the end. And this time it's just our turn, and hopefully Shawcross do it next year.
Now you might notice, due to a bit of solid editing in there, Steve, that it was in effect 2 interviews spliced together. So when I started, we got a gap in the rain. So they'd celebrated, there was flares out on the pitch and all sorts, pictures being taken and whatever, and I spotted my chance, so I started interviewing Billy, and then the rain came down again, and he goes, "Come on Dave, let's jump in the dugout and finish this off." So we both moved over to the dugout. I tries to find me bit where I was up to, with the interview, and find me flow again. Meanwhile, there's one of the Shawcross officials wanting to lock up the dugout, so we ended up doing a quite rapid interview there.
Yeah, you could have been like Jesus at Easter, locked in rolled a stone in front of the dugout.
I think judging from my times down at Shawcross and seeing Shawcross this year, maybe that's what they want to do to me. But
don't go down again; you will get crucified.
Yeah, but all joking aside. Again, they're a fantastic host in the game there. I know they were very keen to get locked up, and I don't blame them, because again the heavens were opening and everybody had emptied themselves into the bar by that stage.
What we've got to say there, though, Parky, I mean, we both of us have had a journey with these 2 clubs, haven't we, this season? Because we've been to see them quite regular in some respects.
Certainly over the last few weeks.
Yeah. And from our point of view, obviously, we went over watching Shawcross Sharks against Saddleworth on that night match was absolutely superb. And again, which we really, really enjoyed. I got to have a chat with Paul March there as well. And we're buying into everything that we're trying to do here. And they're great to watch. And like you were saying, even on that night, they put some stuff together from the wings that you could see there was stuff there that was going to move them forward. As far as Woolston are concerned, I mean, as I've always said, they're only round the corner from me, so they were always easy pickings in that sense to go and watch. But it's been a journey that's been great to watch from really starting off the season well, then having that wobble where suddenly they're out of that sort of automatic contention to get promoted. That last gasp semi-final win, more or less, against St Jude's. A couple of wobbles against Normanton Knights, if you remember, which looking at the goal kick that was missed by the halfback
by Lawton,
who has gone on and done it this time.
He's landed one.
Yeah. So a bit of retribution in that point of view. So it's been great, because both obviously Billy and Mal Holt there have been really certainly gracious to us, and another club that's taken on board what we're doing and enjoying what we're doing, which is great. And as I tweeted to Billy, it's been great to follow the their journey over the season, and hopefully we can follow them next season in a higher division and see where that's taken. He actually wrote, he said, I started at the club age 5, came back to it at 29, and this is my proudest moment of my career. Congratulations to all the boys. And he is. I mean, you can see when you're there on the touchline, both him and Mal, there's no airs and graces. Everybody's a team together. And I think I've said in the past as well, without being, sort of derogatory to any of the lads who are playing, there are no stars as such or egos as such. There are good players, very good players. Like we're on about Dan Furner, both Files are great players, but they're all a team, and you can see that this is, like you were saying, somebody getting sin bin, one of the Files getting sin bin, they've all pulled together, no problem, and gone on and done the business. Two great teams, and it's a shame that there had to be a loser.
It's sport for you though, isn't it?
Yeah.
But there's a lot that certainly Shawcross can take from this season, because they've bounced back into Division 2, and I think they're going to be one of the teams to watch next season, without a doubt. Admittedly, when I was speaking to Billy, I don't think it made it through to the final interview, because I say we were being shooed away from the dugout, by the end of it. But he was saying he's fully aware that the next division up is a tough one, because Crossfields have struggled themselves a little bit this season, and he said that they were a better side than he admitted they were a better side than his Woolston team. So he knows that he's going to go out there, do a little bit of recruitment, trying to get a couple of different players in, trying to attract maybe other players to come to the club. But it's good to, again, when you know sort of some of the history that's happened with Woolston, and the fact that at one point they were flying high. I think they won 2 National Conference League titles in succession in the 90s, then lost half their team to go playing professionally for South Wales, which that lasted long. Then they decided they were a bit of a pioneer side, to be honest, weren't they, Woolston? Because they decided to come out of the National Conference, go into the National League 3 competition, which had been set up, which has fostered the likes of your London Scholars, your Coventries of this world, etc. And they tried their hand in that for a while. Then they had a devastating fire about 20 years ago, which gutted the clubhouse, and have led a bit of a nomadic existence before finding their home again at where they play now. So there's some synergy there, and there's a real story, and it's good to kind of follow. And when you know those stories, you're thinking, hey, they're fighting their way back to the top, aren't they?
It adds a different dimension to things, and like people say, when you go supporting a club, you've got to grown up with it, and this, that, and the other. And I totally agree with that. But like I said, I've dipped into over the last 6 months, 8 months, something like that. Got to have a chat with a few of the lads. Been round and saw the clubhouse, saw the pitch and everything. And you get a feeling of, you want these guys to do well because of all the things that they're putting in and around. It's a cracking club.
I mean, really nice. Certainly I could say the same about 40 odd other clubs in the National Conference League as well, because of, over the course of the season I've been really fortunate to get around to the clubs that I have been, enjoyed my visits to each of them, and I know how hard that they're working for rugby league and community rugby league in particular, and it is great to know that each and every one of these clubs, they have a story to tell, they have history, they have something to offer, and we just want to keep telling those stories, and it is fantastic to follow.
Because the point I'm making there as well, Parky, is that if you have thought, if any of our listeners have thought about, I wouldn't mind going watching some of that. You go down. You go to that clubhouse, go and have a pint, have a drink or what have you.
You'll be made welcome.
But anywhere. Honestly, you will enjoy it, and you'll be back the week after, and you'll get to know, various other supporters as well, who are always there, that have their own little spots, just like any other professional sport in that, or how it used to be before we had a fully seated stadium and all that sort of thing.
See, you're talking about top level Super League though, aren't you?
Yeah, but I mean,
I've not grown up with that. Not regularly, anyway.
But you're talking about, you're talking about Wilderspool, you're talking about Central Park, you're talking about Hilton Park. Those are the types of venues which they say, they're good in the past. It's not about the venues per se. It's about the characters that used to frequent those, and they are the salt of the earth people. When you go and watch community rugby, they're the sort of people that you get there. You will go in, you'll be made welcome. There'll be no problems, whether you're an home supporter or you're an away supporter
or a neutral.
Yeah.
So we do know already. We've revealed that we know who's gone up from Division 2. In fact, we know who's gone up from all the divisions now, which is absolutely fantastic. One game to go. It's the grand final. And who was going to qualify? So we knew that Hunslet, ARLFC, they qualified last week. They defeated West Hull by 40 points to 18. That set West Hull up against Rochdale Mayfield, who have been going great guns over the last few weeks. And I thought that they were going to really, really test out this West Hull team. What do I know? West Hull 26, Rochdale Mayfield 8. Now Jack Watts, he swept over in the 10th minute, and second row Ryan Wilson added the extras. Mayfield hit back 8 minutes later through Christian McVeigh, although Devlin Long was unable to convert. The second quarter was very much in West's grip. Prop Zeus Silk leading from the front, and with a 16-4 lead being established through a try on 24 minutes for Wilson, who added his own score to land a couple of then penalty goals afterwards. A touchdown 6 minutes after the restart for Ben Arben. Wilson again goaling with his fifth and last success, helped forge and looked like an unassailable 22 points to 4 lead. Mayfield were handed something of a lifeline when Silk was yellow carded after 52 minutes for a high tackle, but West restricted them to just one try from Harry Sheridan, Long again missing the target in the prop's absence. And a notable win was wrapped up when winger Kieran Masik dotted down 9 minutes from time, Wilson being wide for the first time. So final score there, West Hull 26, Rochdale Mayfield 8. I want a quick word about Rochdale Mayfield because again they're a side that I've seen quite a bit of over the course of the season. And they have played some fantastic rugby league. They have made everybody in the National Conference League Premier Division sit up and take notice. Now they've been a team that's been in. It's a common phrase in football, especially. They've been in a transitional period.
Transition, yeah.
Now St Helens, they've been in a transitional period, but still keep winning trophies. Leeds have been in a transitional period and can't get near a trophy. Rochdale Mayfield have brought players in. They've built and built and built over the course of the season. They've had a fantastic year. But what can you say about this West Hull side that hasn't been said already? I'm going to try and sum it up. Okay, so they've got a halfback there in Josh Wood, who is one of the cleverest ball players that there is in the National Conference. They've got a fullback in Elliot Jones, who is equally adept both at fullback and at halfback as well. He's a fantastic player, really can get into a hole. He's got the space and pace to sort of like work his way through. They've got fantastic wingers. Jack Watts can also play in the centre. They've got a really, really good second row come hooker called Jacob Moore, who is just a dynamo. He just keeps going and going and going. They've got the best named player in the league, in my opinion, Zeus Silk, who adds something, real punch up front. And they've got Ryan Wilson, who can do the rough and tough stuff, but can also play in an absolute dinner suit in a second row spot, where he just looks outside and picks his time to go into a game. And usually it's with dynamic effect, and he follows up with a try, and he's always good for a goal or 5 in a game as well, to be fair. And then you've got Ben Arben, who at the moment is the current National Conference League Player of the Year until they decide whoever's winning at the meal event that's happening after the season. And Ryan Steen, who's a little bit of a hero of mine, to be honest. When I've been watching community rugby over this last sort of 2 or 3 seasons, he's a player that always impresses.
Yeah,
he's not a flash player. He's not one of these that he's going to go 80 metres and score a try, so you'll never have any headlines written about him. But if you were in a war, you'd want him alongside you fighting away, because he's that sort of player. He's inspirational. His work rate is phenomenal. It's like you can't tire him out. teams have tried. They've been running at him all season. He's not the biggest of forwards, but he keeps every time, come on, give him more. And he keeps sort of bashing them and knocking them down. They're a good overall team.
Yeah, and obviously one of our guys who we keep an eye on there in the substitutes, Kieran Welburn.
Yes, so Kieran's been doing a solid job there, alongside the likes of Scott Howlett as well, who again is another big forward that perhaps little has been written about. Kieran's done a really good job since getting back in there, and they've got another clever hooker in Nathan Powley as well. So I've really built them up, haven't I?
Yeah.
I suppose I can only do the same with Hunslet ARLFC now, can't I? And what I will say about Hunslet is that they have got one of the top 2 try scorers across the entire National Conference League playing for them in winger Tyler Dargan. So I think I've said before, he's not the biggest of players, but give him a gap, he'll take it. Give him a try to be scored, he'll finish it. I've had the pleasure of seeing some of the video footage over the course of the season that Hunslet have been uploading to the social media channels, and he's always there or thereabouts. He's a man that just knows when to back up or when to support. He's in the England under-23 Community Lions squad to take on the Wales Dragonhearts and Ireland over the coming weeks. And he's just one of several stars that there is for Hunslet. Ben Shulver is another one that should take a lot of plaudits. He's the captain, second rower, 13 tries this season. Another phenomenal player. He's played 22 games as well, so he's been Mr. Durable.
Yeah.
And then you look at they've got Craig McShane at fullback, who's won National Conference League Player of the Year twice.
That's right, yeah.
So, and his form this season has been absolutely phenomenal. So he scored 10 tries in 21 games. Okay, don't just look at his try scoring though. You've got to look at how brave he is, at the way that he catches the ball, the way that he positions himself, the defensive work that he does as a small player, and then he just links everything together. He's a phenomenal player to watch. And then you've got one of the veterans there, Omar Al-Rawi, 9 tries this season for him in 14 games. He's been saying for the last 3 years he's retiring, and yet there he is, still towards the top end of the sort of scoring charts there. Also in and out of the side this season has been Josh McClelland, who's a pretty classy halfback. But the other guy to keep an eye on for me is Gale. So he's been the goal kicker throughout the course of the season. Again, a phenomenal player. 7 tries and 69 goals he scored in 16 games. So he's definitely one to look out for. Listen, I think we're in for a cracking final. It's going to be held over at Featherstone Rovers on Saturday, 2:30 kick-off. Again, I'm imploring you to get over there. It'll be the best £5 that you can spend in getting in and watching some entertaining rugby league from both of these sides. It is going to feature on our league as well, though. So our friend of the show, we can say this, Tom Bell.
Oh yeah, Tom,
from over at Stanningley. He's going to be commentating alongside Matt Horton.
Yeah.
So looking forward to sort of hearing their dulcet tones. I would love to have been there, but I'm elsewhere, as I'll reveal in a little bit.
You're wandering away.
I'm wandering away.
But, Parkett,
you'll be there.
I'll be there, yeah. The other thing is, there'll be a new name on the trophy this year.
There will.
Because obviously it's the first time Hunslet ARLFC will have been in the final.
Which is fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah,
and I know a lot's been made, and certainly there was a couple of dissenting voices at the time when basically that merger happened, and they said, why aren't they starting in Division 3 of the National Conference again? When you look at how strong that team is, that would have just been wasted years. It wouldn't have been fair on those players, so I kind of get where some people are coming from on it.
But the other side of that coin is, all those players could have finished from one club, become, and just moved over to season after, couldn't they? And you wouldn't have had to have been relegated then. It's like we've just been on about Woolston recruiting new players for next season. It would have just been exactly the same as one club recruiting all the other players in that respect. So it would have made no difference there to a certain degree. I think sometimes people, and we see, and I mentioned it in my review of the North and West men's. There's a couple of players there which have said, they play like they're playing in the dinner suits, because they've had some professional experience in that, and they get the rounds of the kitchen, don't they, after the supporters, and it's a backhanded compliment that the other people have wished that I wish we had him or somebody like him on our side, because that's the sort of damage you can do to clubs, and I think in some cases that's what's happened to Munster. Look at all the other clubs. We're talking Rochdale, Mayfield. They've had a cracking season. Like you said, and there's others in there as well. So it's not been detrimental as such. Arguably, it could be said, but if it had just been the team from last year, would they have got to the final? Possibly, yeah. You know what I mean? So I don't think there's been a massive amount of difference in that respect.
There hasn't been a massive difference in personnel. Okay, there's one or two players that have been able to force their way through that. They were playing regularly for Hunslet Warriors last season, but they've admitted it themselves. They've done this from a junior rugby point of view. So we've already pointed to the fact at various times this season that teams have struggled basically when they've not got youth players that are coming through, and they've not got that conveyor belt of sort of new players to take over when players decide to pack in and stuff. And that's where the problems start. And they've highlighted it. They've seen it. So they've done this and got together with Hunslet Warriors with one eye on the future and being able to sustain themselves going forward. Because let's be honest, Hunslet Parkside were a brilliant side, a fantastic side. They blasted the way through all the divisions. They went unbeaten in a National Conference League season in the Premier Division, which I don't think we'll see the likes of that type of thing happening ever again. But some of those players have reached the end. They've moved on. They've got old. They've retired. Okay. Not looking at anybody in particular, but Jamie Fields, you came back. You said that you were packing in.
More comebacks than Frank Sinatra.
You've managed 11 matches this season, 11? So he's done really well there, hasn't he? To be fair, there was also Andy Hullock, who also said he was throwing away the boots at the end of last season. He's played 8 matches this season too, and I've already mentioned Omar as well. Like in there. So they have got these fantastic players still around, to lead some of these younger players that are starting to push through. And I've mentioned there's a couple of other kids that I could also talk about as well. So Harry Dodd has been a great player for them in the other second row and playing back row this season. And if you look at the likes of I mentioned Craig McShane, but there's his brother Jack as well at hooker, who is again up there with the top number 9s in the National Conference League. So again, there's so much to admire about this side. We could be in for an absolute classic grand final.
The other thing about this, Parky, as well, we talk about other clubs struggling, and we talked about a couple of clubs who have dropped down. We were talking about Yorkshire Men's League there. This now, for me, what Hunslet have done can be a template for other clubs to sort of, rather than going by the wayside. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying because you've gone in the Yorkshire Men's or North West Men's or anything like that, you've gone by the wayside. But then rather than possibly go out of existence altogether, if this is a template that you can look at and say, right, our neighbours who are, sort of, really, really struggling, can we do something here to keep that, to keep that going? It's something that can be looked at, and there's a template there now. It may not suit everyone, but it's something to look forward to and sort of say, let's explore this. Is there an avenue we can go down?
So once again, we've got 2 fantastic teams in the grand final, haven't we, for who will take home the Premier Division title.
So is it the Golden Greens against the Green and Golds?
Well, to be fair, the Hunslet, they've got like a blue, so they've gone yellow and blue.
Oh, very nice.
So yes, they've still got V's.
Yeah.
But interesting. I can tell you're looking forward to it already.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, the old sparring partner should be there if you've not seen for a little while. and I know I've got to sit next to a Yorkshireman, but it will be Phil. Looking forward to meeting up and have a chat with him as well.
Yes, but like I say, if you're getting yourself along there, do enjoy it. It's going to be an absolute crackerjack of a game, and as per usual, we'll talk about it all next week. Now, I mentioned that I'm missing in action in this one. This is due to me being out in Serbia for the next week, so I'm delighted.
When did you join the Territorial Army?
No, fortunately, it's nothing like that. It's nothing like that. I've got to say this, because I never know who's tuning in from a work point of view. They know that I've got a week's leave planned, and I have been talking about it, So this is the England Community Lionesses team, which is going out to Serbia. They'll play 2 matches against the Serbian national women's side over the next week. The first game of that is being played on Sunday. It's an early kick-off, 11 a.m, and it's at a place, funnily enough, where I've been before. Now, I can't pronounce it. I'll only have to try and pronounce it next week. I'm not even going to try, as it stands at the moment.
They're going to write it down for you phonetically.
They certainly do. Well, I'm just going to reach here, for my because for my phone, because I think it's been put here. So I'm going to see if you'll pronounce it now. Yeah. So the first game match venue will be at FC
Rogi Polet.
That's about as best as we're going to get, to be honest, because I weren't even going to try and pronounce it. So yes, so that's going to be played on Sunday morning. I'll have as much reaction as I can from that to bring you to the show next week, and we'll have a chat about how that's going and review the action from this coming weekend.
Yeah, it should be some interesting, some couple of interesting games. We can look forward to. Certainly that finals. I will try my best to get as many interviews as possible. So if you are listening to this before you go down, guys, if I come up to you with a microphone, I'm not Parky, but let's have a few words. Jamie Fields, I want to get hold of Jamie Fields because I've got to see how many Leeds United games he's actually been to this season as well.
That was one of the main reasons he retired, wasn't it? To go and watch more Leeds United.
That's what he said.
So lots and lots of rugby league still to look forward to over this next week or two. Do enjoy it. But this is us for now, signing out. So we'll see you again next week. Take care now.